Okay? How many zeros do I need to find? 4. Does everyone understand why? Andrew, you understand why there's 4? Cole, explain to him why. X to the 4th power. Okay? That first degree there, that first exponent tells us how many zeros we got to find. We all good there? Everybody? Any questions on that? Okay? You should know as soon as you look at it how many that you're looking for. Now, what happens when I graph this? How many do you see? You only see 2 of them, right? So we go to our y equals, and I already have it in there. So good, hit graph. So that's what it looks like, right? And then go to your table. That looks like -3 and +2, but just to make sure, it's pretty definitive that that's what it is, right? Second graph for table. So there's our table. Whoa, why'd you do that? That's never happened. Detroit Lean, huh? Okay? So remember, I'm looking for where the y is 0, right? Okay, but the answer is the x value. You understand that? When we look at the table, we look for zeros in the y column, but the answers are the x values. So this right here is our -3, and this right here is our 2. Okay? So what I have to do now to figure out the other 2 is use synthetic division with the -3 and the 2. And it doesn't matter which one I start with. I can start with 2, I can start with -3. All right? So I'll just do the -3. And then we got 1, we got 4, 3, 2, 1 constant, so I don't have to add any zeros. We have not had to do that for a long time, right? But it's still a possibility that we would have to do that. So don't forget about that. Check that. So we got 1, 1, -2, 4, 1, 1, -2, 4, and -24. Okay? Sometimes we make a mistake because we forget about that minus sign in front. Okay? Don't forget about those signs. Okay, so you know, maybe you guys need to do a little arrow there to remind yourself to drop the 1 below. Okay? Now we do multiplication. -3 times 1. 1 plus a -3 is a -2. We do addition with the 2 numbers then. Are we having issues with synthetic division at all? That's really easy, isn't it? We should all, by now, be able to do. You okay there, Evan? Okay. This time. -3 times -2, +6. When I add those, I get +4. -3 times 4 is -12. When I add those 2, I get -8. -3 times -8 is a +24. So I get 0. And that's what I'm supposed to get, right? If I don't get 0, I made a mistake. Check your work. Okay? Then I do the 2. All right, 2 times 1 is 2. -2 plus 2 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. -8 plus 8 is 0. So those 2 work. Remember, this originally was x to the 4. Once I do this -3 synthetic division, it becomes x to the 3rd. Once I do the 2, it becomes x squared. So I have a quadratic equation there. It's x squared plus 0x plus 4, and then we always set it equal to 0 to solve it, right? Right, Trent? Okay. A is 1, B is 0, C is 4. I like it when this happens. When the B is 0, do I need to use the quadratic formula to solve it? No, I don't have to. But if you do, it's okay. You can still use the quadratic formula. But it's a lot quicker if you don't. Just get rid of that 0x and write it like this. And then solve. Subtract 4. And then we're going to take the square root, which gives me x. Don't forget, plus or minus, there's 2 answers. And then what is the square root of negative 4? 2i, right? Because it's negative. So my 4 answers, my 4 zeros, negative 3, positive 2 from the graph, and positive 2i, negative 2i, after I simplify my polynomial, after I reduce it down. Now, ask questions if you're not sure, Zach.
If I was to write like plus or minus 2i on the quiz for like the final answer, would it be?
That's okay. Yeah. Does this make sense?
Yeah, you made it make a lot more sense.
Okay? All you gotta do is focus a little bit. Some of us are zoning out a little bit. Okay? Okay, so going over practice quiz answers. Number 1, I asked you to do it by factoring. You should be able to factor this. How many zeros should I find? 3. Okay. Is there a GCF for all 4 terms? No. So I group it because it's got 4 terms. First 2, last 2. Since that third term, the 8 had a minus in front, put that minus inside the second group. And now we take out GCFs. What's the GCF for the first group? X squared. What's the GCF for the second group? Negative 4. Whenever this third term has a minus like this does in front of it, even though the 12 wouldn't, let's say, pull out that negative sign. Okay, you have to pull that negative sign out. But negative 4 is the GCF, okay? So then I divide. 2x cubed divided by x squared is 2x. And 3x squared divided by x squared is 3. Negative 8x divided by negative 4 is a positive 2x. Negative 12 divided by negative 4 is a positive 3. Is that what I want to happen? Yes, I want that red, that 2x plus 3, those two to be the same. That is one of my factors. My other factor is the 2 GCFs you pulled out, x squared minus 4. But that's not finished being factored because that's a difference of squares. So when I do a difference of squares, I make 2 sets of parentheses. And since they're perfect squares, I take square roots. So the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 4 is 2. One's addition, one's subtraction. You all should be able to do that by now. Factor that. That is an expectation I have of you. It's not that difficult. We've done quite a few of those. We should be good at it by now.
So why wouldn't you square root the x squared minus?
You mean do it this way? Add the 4 and then square root? That's okay. Because what's this answer going to be? Positive 2. What's this one going to be? -2, which is those two, right? So if you want to do it that way, don't finish factoring, but set it equal to 0 there, that's okay. Yeah, you're going to get 2 and -2 still. And then I got to do this too, right? 2x plus 3 equals 0. So I'm going to subtract 3 and divide by 2. That's -1.5, right?
So we don't have to spoil that?
No, if you FOIL it, you go right back to where you started, right? When we do number 4, that's when we're going to FOIL. When we want to figure out what it was originally.
So could we, that one, like, we couldn't put that in our calculator?
We're not supposed to, you're supposed to factor it. Now, you know how to come through the back way, right? You can do that. It'll give you those 3 answers, but you're gonna have to figure out that that's 2x plus 3. Then you can go that route and show it to me factored form. But I want it factored, that number 1. Okay, it's gonna be very similar to that. It's probably gonna be, it'll be a grouping problem, and when you pull out the GCFs, it's gonna probably be a difference of squares, just like, but it might be x squared minus 25 this time, or x squared minus 16, or 4x squared minus 25, All right, number 2. All right, we have to state multiplicity. How do I know if there's going to be multiplicity? What am I looking at? The graph. If it bounces or bends, Trent, Andrew, Zach, right? If it bounces off, either going up, hits the x-axis, goes right back down, or coming down, hits the x-axis, goes back up, it's going to work at least twice. And have we found any that went more than twice? I don't think we have, right? If it kind of curves as it crosses, bends, okay, or as it goes up, bends, we know it works at least 3 times. I don't think we've had any that were 5 times, right? It was probably going to be 3. So we have to watch the graph when we put it in our calculator. So we got x cubed minus 2x squared minus 32x plus 96. I think this one would, no, I don't think it factors good. Graph it, go straight through, bounced. Nice. Okay. So, is that showing me the 3 that I'm expecting? Oops. Yes or no? Yeah, that's showing me 3 of them, right? Because I know it bounced, so I know that means at least twice, right? So we gotta, it looks like 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and -6. I'm gonna go to my table to make sure. Second graph. And let's go up to the -6 if I'm close. Yep, -6 was 1. And then go down to the 4 to see if I was right on that. Yeah. Okay? So -6, 4. If you put 2x, that's telling me what? It works twice. It has a multiplicity of 2. You can check to make sure using what? Synthetic, but you don't have to. Because you knew it was, in the beginning, it was x cubed, right? So 2 plus 1, there's your 3. So that's a pretty easy one, right? I didn't have to do anything extra to try to find those two zeros. Number 3, I'm looking for 4 of them. Because I got this x to the 4. Okay, so I'm gonna graph it. So 2x to the 4th minus x to the 3rd minus 14x squared minus 5x plus 6. Down, up, down, up. No bending, no bouncing off the x. It showed me all 4, didn't it? Okay, so I have, there's 1, looks like -2. That looks like -1. That's between 0 and 1, and this looks like 3. Okay, but I'm gonna check on my table. -2, -1, and 3. So that's, I was right on those. Oops, keep doing that. Okay. So, -2, -1, and 3. Okay? Now, if you want, you can go on your calculator and find that, or you can use synthetic. All right, I'm gonna do synthetic. All right, so I'm gonna just go right in order. -2. Do I need to add a 0, 4, 3, 2, 1 constant? No, -1, -14, -5, +6. -2 times 2, -4, add -5. -2 times -5, +10, add -4. -2 times -4, +8, add 3, -2 times 3, -6, 0. So it worked, right? It's supposed to work, right? Let's leave it at that. All right, then I'm going to use -1. -1 times 2 is -2, add -7. -1 times -7, +7, add 3. -1 times 3 is -3, add 0. So far, so good, right? Then use the 3. Times 2 is 6, add -1. 3 times -1 is -3, add 0. Cool.
Why did you choose -2 at the beginning? Like, why is that in the later form?
I just picked that one first. I could have started at 3. Just one of those 3 I got to start with.
Okay.
And then I use the other 2 that I haven't used. Now, remember, this was x to the 4th. This one's x to the 3rd. This one's x squared. So this is x. So there's my equation. 2x minus 1 equals 0. To find that last one. I can do it by hand. But if you wanted to use your calculator, you still would get what answer? 1/2, right? Add 1. 2x divided by 2. So there's this one. So -2, -1, 1/2, and 3 are my 4 zeros. Questions? Make sense? Coli, you with me or are you zoning out again? John, you awake? Questions, we okay? Now's the time to ask, right? Tomorrow, I don't like answering questions because it's my turn to ask the questions, right? So now you're supposed to be asking them. Okay? Number 4. I give you zeros. I give you 3, but how many are there actually? 5. If there's a radical 2, there's also what? Negative radical 2. If there's a positive I, there's also a negative I. Remember, those come in pairs. Radicals and I's come in pairs. If there was I plus 5, what else is there? An I minus 5, right? If there's a 2 plus the square root of 3, what else is there? 2 minus the square root of 3. Okay, so be aware of that, because that's going to happen tomorrow. Pay attention to number 4. How do we always start these? X minus 1. X minus square root of 2. X minus negative the square root of 2 is what? Plus the square root of 2. X minus I. X minus negative I is plus I. So there's your 5 factors for the 5 zeros. Always start X minus. Okay, Jordan, Nicole, Trent, Scott? Yes! You can't stop there, which some of you did. You have to finish.
Why don't you put like x minus I x plus, or x minus 1x plus 1?
If it's a regular number, real number, you don't have, it doesn't have a second one that goes with it. Only with the radicals and with the imaginary one. Okay? Now, I have to multiply those two together to start. I have to multiply these two together to start. What's going to happen when I multiply the red one? Cancel what? The radicals. What's going to happen with the green one? The i's will cancel. Okay? So, FOIL it. First, x times x. Outside, x times the square root of 2. Inside, negative radical 2 times x is negative x times the square root of 2. Last, negative radical 2 times a positive radical 2 is a negative radical 4. Right? Positive times a negative, or negative times positive. What happens to the middle 2? It cancels, right? So this red answer is x squared. What's the square root of 4? 2. So that's minus 2. This x minus 1 is still there. Don't forget about it. The green one. X times x. X times I. Negative I times x. Negative, remember there's 1's in front of these, so negative 1i times a positive 1i is a negative 1i squared. What do we know about I squared? Negative 1. So that's a negative 1 times a negative 1. Right? Which is a plus 1, right? What happens to the ix's? Cancel. So that one is x squared plus 1. Now it doesn't matter what order you go. Okay? I'm just going to do these two first. All right? But it doesn't matter. You could do the left two first. All right? So I got x squared times x squared. X squared times 1. Negative 2 times x squared. And negative 2 times 1. Which is x to the 4th minus 1 x squared minus 2 times x minus 1. And now the last one, x times x to the 4th is x to the 5th. X times negative x squared is negative x to the 3rd. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 1 times x to the 4th is negative x to the 4th. Negative 1 times negative x squared is a positive x squared. And -1 times -2 is a +2. Are there any like terms? No. If you leave it like that, that's okay. Normally, we like to put it in order. So in order, there's your answer. But if you don't put it in right order, because there's no like terms, that's okay. Okay?
Yeah.
Multiply it all the way out. Start with x minus. Remember, radicals and i's have one that's not actually there that you have to remember. Right, Kate? Last one. All right, so this is like number 2, right? Find all the roots. So we go to our calculator. We got a 1, x to the 4th, minus 5. Now I gotta insert a 5. Oh, I put in the wrong spot. All right, minus 5. X cubed plus 15 plus 15 x squared minus 45x plus 54. Graph it. Oh, I only see 2 of them, no bouncing, right? Looks like 2 and 3. Do that every time, doesn't get in a hurry, right? Come on, come back to me. 2 and 3. Yep, it worked. That's what I thought. Why don't you stay? Oh, well, never mind. Okay, so that's a 2, and that's a 3. How do I find the other 2? Synthetic, right? So, which one do you want to start with, Cole, Zito? 2, okay. So I got 1, -1, -1, 1, -2, and 2. Don't forget the negatives. Oops, I'm going ahead of myself. That's what I want. 2 times 1 is 2.
That's the
That's
wrong
from the
problem.
last problem.
That's from the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the answer, wasn't it? Yeah. Just seeing if you guys were paying attention. All right, it's 1, -5, 15, -45, and 54. I didn't forget anything there, did I? Okay. So 2 times 1 is 2, add, -3, -6, add, 9, 18, add, -27, -54, 0. 3. 3 times 1 is 3, 0. 3 times 0 is 0, 9. 3 times 9 is 27, 0. I like this one. Why? The B is what? 0. So my problem is x squared plus 9 is 0. Everybody went 3 there?
Yeah.
So what do I do, Trent? I want to solve this. Come on.
Subtract 9.
Very good. Scotty, now what? Good. Ozer. What's the square root of -9? What else? What else? Thank you. So, my 4 answers. 2, 3, 3i, -3i. Get it? Got it? Good. Questions? Grace, easy, right? Either get the bear or the bear gets you.
Are we gonna get anyone
Zero.
You might. Zach had a good question. What if the B isn't zero? What do we gotta do? Right, we gotta do this. Negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A. All right? That could happen tomorrow. Maybe it doesn't work out that nice. So do that. Any other questions? Either the hammer or the nail. Don't be the nail, be the hammer. All right, good job.